sort of, oh, I'm going to get recorded saying this. Okay. I am
Sorry.
feeling quite calm and present this morning, excited to be here with everybody. Thank you.
Good. Welcome, welcome. Welcome back. Craig Neal. You're on mute.
Yep. I'm Craig, calling from Minneapolis. And my spiritual state, I feel very present. I feel I've been out in my garden, and I've just had lunch with somebody else on this call, Bruce Peterson. And so I'm feeling very, very connected with myself, with PISLAP, and with the world around me. And I'm complete.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Rebecca, you're next.
Thanks. Hi, I'm Rebecca Preen. I'm in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and I am currently curious.
Welcome, Rebecca. Welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Duncan, you're on.
So hello, everyone. Duncan Holloman. I'm currently in Gloucester, Massachusetts. And up till about 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon, I was on a wooden boat sailing on the Penobscot Bay. So I am peaceful coming home from that, but I would say unsettled in terms of how I'm seeing the world.
Welcome to the call. Mumta, you're next.
Hi everyone, I'm Mantha. I'm from the UK, based at Findhorn up in Scotland. And spiritually, I'm feeling connected and I'm feeling alive. And also this is the third call in a row. And so I'm noticing my body looking outside, because even though it's evening, it's still light here in Scotland, very light. And the sun's still out, and wanting to go outside for a walk in the woods.
Well, very glad to have you with us, representing the European area, right?
You.
Bruce, Judge Peterson.
Hi, I'm Bruce Peterson. I'm in Minneapolis, and I guess I'll share with Craig that I'm feeling relatively present and peaceful. We just had lunch on one of our favorite restaurants, the Sidewalk Cafe, and it's a beautiful day, a perfect early summer day. And I just got back from 8 days in our RV, our recreational vehicle camping. We call it camping, and was away from the news for 8 days. It was just wonderful. So I'm feeling pretty good and glad to be on this call.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Alala, you're next.
Oh, hi, everyone. As you know from an earlier conversation, I'm in Western North Carolina, up in the mountains. And my name is Alala Linda, formerly known as Linda Alvarez. So you guys, some of you may not know my new name. As Erica Jong said, to name oneself is the first act of the poet and of the revolutionary. So spiritual state, feeling calm and expansive. I have laid a labyrinth in my yard. And so right before this call, I went out and walked the labyrinth. It's about a 10-minute trip. So
very good. Nice to have you with us. Terry Chapman.
Hi, everybody. I'm Terry. I'm also outside of Philadelphia, and I'm a close friend with Craig Neal, who invited me to step into this. My spiritual energy right now is in flow, but with some generative anxiety around the edges, I'd say. Good to be here.
Good to have you. David Hoffman?
Yes. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. I'm broadcasting from Acton, Massachusetts, just outside of Boston. And I have to say that my spiritual state is affected by the webinar that I left in order to be here, and which I'll be rejoining after this gathering, which is a 2-day program by the American Bar Association about the state of DEI. a profoundly depressing topic. It makes me feel like the world's going to hell in a handbasket, but I feel like this is an island of peacefulness and centeredness, and I'm grateful for it.
Mm.
Good to have you. Rob Rossborough.
Hi, I am in San Francisco and I'm still waking up, I would say. And my spiritual state is present but unsettled.
Glad you could join us. Stu Webb.
Hi, my name is Stu Webb here in Minneapolis. Beautiful day. And I just, my spiritual state is one of being love. And I love all you guys. And I love the world. And world is, love is what's the pedal on the metal to get the changes in our world. We love our world through our love. Love ya. Over and out.
Over and out. Good that you're here, Stu. Nanette, I'm going to call on you to share where you are in your spiritual state, and we'll circle back to you when I'm done. Okay?
Okay, Perry. Hello, everyone. Nanette Shore. I'm sitting in my office in the Bronx, New York City. And it's wonderful to be with everyone. I just, went through an intensely busy morning. Jumping from one call to the next is pretty much my daily rhythm. And it always puts a lift in my spirits to join these calls. So, there's a lot to, I mean, David just mentioned one difficult topic, and there are so many, but I feel a burst of hope when I join these calls. And it's great to see some people that I haven't seen in a really long time, like Susan and Mumta. So great to be here.
Good to have you, of course. Rand, you're next.
Can you hear me? I just unmuted.
Yes.
Good. I'm in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. It's a beautiful day here, but I am inside a kidney dialysis center where I'm being treated right now, and it's very noisy in here because machines keep beeping. So I'm going to put myself on mute most of the time, and if you're disturbed, if I'm making somehow noise is coming in and bothering people, let me know. I am. I've not been able to attend as many meetings as I'd like to because of my health condition. I just pre-celebrated my 80th birthday by a few weeks by taking my wife, Ann Friedman, who many of you know, and my two sons and their wives to a elegant cafe lunch and the performance of the Philadelphia Orchestra doing Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. And those are quite meaningful spiritual experiences. And this evening, I am helping lead a discussion group, an anti-racist discussion group on James Baldwin's essay, The Fire Next Time. And in connection with that, I happen to have here, this is something I picked up for 50 cents at a used bookstore. It's quite remarkable. It's the Partisan Review from 1968 with a panel discussion about Black Power by a lot of prominent people from that time. And it's quite amazing to kind of take a time machine back to 1968 and see how various people were thinking about these things. So spiritually, I'm feeling very energized, and I'll just leave it at that. Thank you.
Great to have you with us, Rand. So I am Perry Sedman, and I also just celebrated a significant birthday. I turned 27 27 Celsius. You can do the conversion in your head. But I come to this meeting feeling very connected to all of you and uplifted by the fact that we are all together. Before I turn it back to Nanette.
Sorry, Perry. I think we've missed Anne and Jill White just joined us. Anybody else been missed? I think that might be. Oh, and Brad Roth and Eileen. Yeah, so we have a few more to go.
Eileen, why don't you do your share and we'll get the other two.
Sure. I'm Eileen. I live in San Rafael, California, which is in Marin County, north of San Francisco. And my state, I'm excited for this call. A minute ago, I realized I left my notes on the other side of the room, so that got me, I guess, a little anxious. I thought, well, you don't really need them, but yeah, but I want them. So I'm letting that settle, and I'm really happy to be here.
Good to
Thank you.
have you. Can't wait. Jill White.
Hi, everyone. Eileen invited me, and I'm curious. I'm in Petaluma, which is Sonoma County, so the county north of Marin, North Bay. I'm a mediator and collaborative family law attorney.
Excellent. Glad you could join us. Anne.
Hi. Lovely to see everybody on this call. I am in Philadelphia, where it is amazingly hot. It's like practicing July. And I am grateful to be asked about my spiritual state. We are a week away from moving back into our house after a year of it being renovated. And so the practical tasks can seem utterly encompassing. So I'm really appreciating the expansiveness of the question. And I'm very grateful for the light workers, all of us light workers. And confident at some level that we're gonna figure it out, but it sure doesn't always look like it.
Glad you're with us, Anne, as always. So before I turn it back to Nanette, oh, by the way, I am in Washington, D.C., so the vibrations here are even more intense than outside the city.
But Brad.
Oh, I'm sorry. Brad, where are you, Brad? Oh,
Right.
there you are. Brad,
Well,
I should have asked whether I missed anybody, and why don't you go ahead?
Hi, everyone. Great to be here. I'm in New York, New York. I am my spiritual state. I would say I'm grateful, hopeful, with I think as Terry had indicated, some kind of like well, I'll put it in my own words, the a little bit of concern or distress around the edges.
Well, glad you could join us. Is there anyone I've forgotten? Okay. Before I turn it back to Nanette, I'm going, for those who are new, and as a reminder of those who have been around, I'm going to unpack what PISLAP is. Of course, this is from what we call a one-pager that was drafted some time ago. The idea is to create a little elevator speech when you meet somebody who asks you, what is PISLAP? So it's the project for integrating spirituality, law, and politics. First, let's talk about law real quickly. The idea here of PISLAP is that if we can change the way law is practiced and experienced, we can contribute to transformation of the larger culture, the society within which the law operates. Spirituality, well, we understand spirituality as being about our longing for human connection, about experiencing mutual recognition in a way that affirms our humanity and inner goodness, promoting a caring, compassionate, loving, kind, and connected world. Now, what does politics have to do with all this? I think it's one of the main ways that PISLAP differs from the many other groups who focused on only the law or spirituality. The idea here is that if citizens can see, uh, preferably in a public space, changes in socially relevant areas, which can enhance their ability to feel connected, cared for, heard, and justly and equitably treated. Through the political process, they will urge their representatives to pass new laws that reflect and embody those values. So to tie it all together, PISLAP wants to bring about a spiritually informed approach to law and social change by integrating changes in the law brought about by political action in a way that emphasizes our connectedness and our inherent desire to move towards living in a more compassionate, caring, and loving world. And I invite those of you who are not yet members to take a look at our website, which is spiritlawpolitics.org. We have some wonderful material there, and of course, you can sign up to become a member. Please do so. I'm going to turn it back over to Nanette, and she will introduce our speaker.
Thank you, Perry. Thank you for that. So everyone, we were delighted to have Elaine back again. Elaine actually led a talk in December,
I've
this
got to
past
just
December.
say, no, it's Eileen. Eileen.
Oh, I'm sorry, Eileen. I'm so sorry.
It's fine. I just wanted to correct it.
I knew
Thank you.
that. I knew that. I just got distracted for a second. We're delighted to have Eileen back after she led a wonderful talk in December on the power of forgiveness. And this talk was envisioned by Eileen along with Duncan Holloman and Ann Friedman, who participated in a call to give some thought to the question of spirituality and the law, along with a few other PISLAP folks. So thank you to all of you for helping to co-create this, and thank you so much to Eileen for presenting. So I will turn it over to you. Apologies again about your name.
You're muted, Eileen. Ah, there you go.
Nanette, you're not the first person that made that mistake or the last, I'm sure. But a while back, I just decided I would correct people when they do it. So having said that, I am very, like I said, excited about this conversation. As Perry, when you read I'm going to call it a mission statement, but I don't know if that's what you call it. It struck me, maybe you too, but it just really strikes to my core that that is exactly what is needed right now in the world. This is exactly what's needed, that leadership and integration of spirituality with law and politics. And so I feel like this conversation is meant to be a way to step into that, like what is the next step in that? So I am seeing the need that I think all of us are seeing for some shift in our society and just the foundational values that we hold. But I see when I think about that and I think about the role that lawyers can play, I mean, wow, lawyers have never been more on the front lines than they are right now. But also, even more so, the role, as you said, if people see this demonstrated in the law, what a difference it can make to the culture. So I see PISLAP as a beacon of light, and that we can, just really enhance and spread. And so this is really meant to be a conversation, so I'm going to facilitate it more than speak. But I do want to share one experience that I had after this call was planned. So this is already on the books, but a few weeks ago I was in Iceland and I had the opportunity to attend something called the Spirit of Humanity Forum. And it's a place where they really explore the role of spirituality in governance and leadership. So there were business leaders, there were educators, people from all walks of life, and political leaders, and from, I think, something like 40 countries around the world. It was a very, very powerful, and the whole thing there was to look at, not the whole thing, but one of the main themes was to look at the role of spiritual awareness and how we can tap into that, and bring it forward in our public life. But a very big key in that is having the courage to do so. That spoke to me. Oh, courage. You know, it does take courage to be the one who raises their hand and talks about love or forgiveness, or any of these things that we're talking about in, let's just keep it to our profession now, but in a profession which that is really sort of, not part of the conversation at all up until now. So the president of Iceland spoke to us, and she's an amazing woman, Hadla Thomasdottir, I think is her last name. And what she said, I wanted to share with you. She said that when she's trying to figure things out, her rule that she lives by is to go in, that the way out is to go in, and that what she really aims to do is to tap into her inner wisdom and love and rule from that place. And that was so inspiring. I mean, there's a lot more, but I'm keeping it short. So inspiring to me. And for a political leader to speak about this in that way. And I think, this is the conversation I'd like to frame, is how do we tap into our inner wisdom and our spiritual awareness in a way that I find that when I do that, I feel hopeful and I feel like it gives me strength. So I don't feel discouraged. I don't feel the despair on the outer world because I go into my inner world and find peace. So how can we do that and then help others find hope and strength? But of course, we have to do it ourselves first. So that's what I'm hoping that we can talk about. How can we, as a community, like somebody said, I think it was you, Duncan, but it might have been Perry, how do we put the S in PISLAP? How do we really live into that spiritual aspect and then integrate it? And so that we can really contribute to and have the courage to do so, so that, there's what, 12, 34, like 15 or so of us here. How can we, really support each other in this pathway these values that we share, so that we can then take it out to our communities, talk to other lawyers about it, who would be, I think, start with those who are receptive to this sort of thing. But if we each did that in our communities and found 15 more people, that's, slowly it will spread. Or maybe it doesn't have to be linear, but it will spread. So, so this is something, in the last call in January, people said they really appreciated having a place to have this kind of discussion. And so that's why we wanted to really open up another chance to really talk to each other about this. So, I'd love to hear from you. Where does this land in you? And what thoughts you have about how we can bring spiritual awareness and tap into our inner wisdom and bring that forward in the field of law and integrate that. So I'd love for you to just raise your hand when you're ready to share something. And yeah, go ahead, David.
Actually, I just wanted to note Martha has joined us, and we want to get her to check in.
Okay. I am just recently retired, but I worked at the Center for the Study of Social Policy for 20 years, and before that, at Legal Services in Brooklyn, representing parents in foster care proceedings, and then worked with incarcerated mothers for 8 years. So, and now I live in Pennsylvania and moved from New Jersey.
And
Thank you so
Martha, your the question everyone was answering is what is the state of being or your inner state that you come to the call with?
Oh, confusion. I'm very confused by everything happening right now, even up to today.
Thank you. Let's all take a breath. Let's just take a breath and go inward. Find your breath. Find your inner being. Using your breath to slow down. Especially slowing the exhale. After about 5 slow breaths, your system automatically starts shifting into parasympathetic mode, which is the relaxed state of being. So continue breathing slowly, and if you feel yourself opening and relaxing in any way, then it's an opportunity to drop into your heart. And to feel what is moving in your heart. Great. And then take another nice deep breath. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And Mamta, go ahead.
Yeah, so I think the invitation to share was around the topic of how do we show up as spiritual beings in the space of law. And the thing that I wanted to share is the importance of coming from guidance, you know, being able to access our inner guidance, which can only come through discernment, and discernment can only be developed through having a rigorous practice oneself. So in my case, I spend a lot of time meditating, and I get very clear guidance. And then for me, it's about taking the courage to act on that guidance, even though it may be a little bit against the grain, you know, it may be very much against the grain. And to actually put yourself out there and do innovative things, do what your guidance tells you. And when we connect and we speak with others, I feel that a lot of it is in the vibration that we hold, and the vibration that we embody and transmit as we speak. And this has an activating effect on the people around. So I feel rather than going out and preaching about integrating spirituality, we can give examples of it in the way we work and the way we hold ourselves in our work and the way we follow our guidance.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. I appreciate you really talking about the role of inner guidance, which is so reliable. I don't know that, I mean, I can't say that I follow it 100%. Sometimes I say no, but usually I regret it later. But that inner guidance and tuning into that. That's beautiful. You also talked about the importance of having a practice and a rigorous, disciplined practice. And I'm curious, if just show of hands, how many people here have a practice, any kind of a daily meditation or some kind of, yeah, most people, that's beautiful. And yes, definitely not preaching, but what would you say? Just modeling and entrusting the energy. Beautiful.
Yeah.
All right. I see some more hands came up and some of you put them down, but go ahead, Anne.
Being.
I'm sorry.
B-I-N-G.
If you could raise your hand, I'd appreciate it because somebody else had their hand up.
I didn't raise my hand. The computer somehow did. So,
Okay. Well, Allah is hers up.
So following on what Mumta said, and the question that I heard Eileen pose for us was how to tap into our spiritual awareness. And it really made me think. I have been reading the Irish mystic and philosopher John Moriarty. And he said at one point, before you can ask a question, you need to look into the nature of the mind that's asking the question. And I immediately sort of thought, we come to the law and we are conditioned to have a certain nature of mind. And we even come to this question, how do I tap into my spirituality or my spiritual awareness with a certain nature of mind? And I think that that is the first question, is when I ask myself, what mind am I coming from when I ask this question? Then that leads me into an awareness, a spiritual awareness, and it gives me choice. And it's kind of separates a little bit, gives me a little space between the habitual, conditioned, reactive mind that wants to ask the question, what do I do about this? Where do I find hope? What mind is asking that question? And if I shift into the mind that I know how to drop into, of just being a bubbling spring of the greater spirit and source, then I'm going to arrive at a different understanding of what do I do about this and where do I find hope.
That's beautiful too. A lot like what comes to me is when you say that, it's like, well, who's asking? You have a question. Well, who's asking? Because if it's the ego or the analytical, well, maybe that's not it. But I like that discernment very much. And also you bring up a point about lawyers, and our minds are trained in a very particular way. And aren't they? And we're really taught to be very analytical, which really, I got to tell you, is such a great skill set to have. Because you can, see it when other people who don't have it and they can't really discern different. I mean, I just think that it's a very good skill, but some of us really get lost in it, and it's not the only, it can be one modality, but you certainly we need other ones. So I thank you for bringing that in. Perry? Oh, you're muted, Perry.
Boom. There we go. I really appreciate the emphasis on inner work, and I realize most of the people are focused on that, but I think it was also mentioned that spirituality can also be about connecting with other people, and that is kind of a central concept in PISLAP's definition of spirituality. Peter Gable described it as experiencing mutual recognition in a way that affirms our humanity and inner goodness. And I think this is very important. I read a piece in the New York Times recently that it was a very, very long article, and they had studied or summarized studies that had been done over the last like 80 years about what makes people happy. And I was so impressed with, I went for the conclusion. I said, what is it? What is it? What is it? Because they examine all sorts of things about what makes people happy. And the conclusion was, I'm going to read it to you because I put it on my phone to remember it. 95% of things that are effective in making people happy and that have shown to be true through happiness interventions are because they make people feel more connected to other people, more connected to other people. That's mutual recognition, if I've ever heard it. Stu Webb might call it love, close human connection. And that's something I think we can all practice with anybody and everybody, including allies and people who might not be allies. That may be a way to break the log jam. And it's just something I carry with me and wanted to share with you.
Thank you. Thank you. That mutual recognition, connection, humanizing seems so needed right now. Thank you, Barry. David.
Actually,
And then Duncan.
I think Rebecca had her hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry. I couldn't see it on the background. And yeah, thank you, David. Rebecca, please go ahead.
Sure. Thank you, David. I'll have to remember to change the color of my hand
Yeah,
back
make it
to the standard yellow orange. For me, as Mumta and Alila mentioned, the foundational pieces are my personal practices, and those allow me to be present in a state to connect in a way that Harry was speaking of. I've spent 15 years asking the question in my own law practice for myself of how do I integrate this very logical, strategic mind and training with my spiritual practice, with who I am, with my devotion to that which is larger than me. And now, because and a lot of it comes down to then the courage of doing so, right? There's part of the clarity of how do those things go together? How are we present to and with them both? And then cultivating the courage to lead from that place and to speak it. And what I now work with other professionals, not just lawyers, but other professionals who are doing that within their professions. And when I reflected back on my own process and in working with them, I was able to bring to the mind 8 different ways that I saw this inhabiting my law practice. Because what I found is that for me and for my clients, it's that question you asked about how do we take what the inner practice is and move it out into the world in a concrete way. So if people are open to it, I would love to not necessarily hear, but just share with you the 8 ways. And I'd love to hear how any of those land with you as we continue this discussion over time, and how, you see the different things populating in the world in that place of connective tissue between our own presence and practice as the foundation, and then how that moves into the world.
I love that. Your name is Rebecca Preen.
Rebecca Preen, Prien. And I can, let's see, I'm on the PISLAP list. So if there's a reply to there, I can share it in that capacity. And
Well, I'd love for you to be able to share it in another time, probably. But if you want to
okay.
put something in the chat,
Yeah.
email or a link, that would be great. And
Okay.
yeah, and I just love the way you just connected the dots, because for many of us, it is the inner practice, tapping into the inner wisdom that transcends everything really, and then connecting it to the practical. What Perry's talking about, it's got to be practical, connecting with human beings in a loving way, if you will. But and also, how do we practice in an
Yeah, how do you get the practical things done? How are you on calls during the day? Like, what systems do you put into your business? Like,
yeah.
how do you approach policymakers? Like, all of those practical questions.
Thank you. That's
Sure
exactly
thing.
the hope of this conversation, that it be full spectrum and it be grounded and not just, um, whatever, but grounded into the pragmatic, but not omitting spirituality either. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
David, go ahead.
Thank you. So as I'm listening, what I'm feeling is, oh yeah, what she said and what he said and what she said, because it's all been very resonant with my experience of inner life. I raised my hand because I want to share something about the internal family systems model, which I've been spending a lot of time learning about and doing some teaching and training about. And can I just ask for a show of hands, how many people are familiar with the IFS model? Oh my gosh, that doesn't happen very often in a room full of lawyers. I have found that that model provides a very helpful map for me of my uh, internal system, helps me access self energy, which is what the term the IFS model uses for heart or spirit, soul, or from a Buddhist perspective, I suppose, non-self. I think it's sort of ironic that in the IFS model, what is called self energy is very much akin to what Buddhists call non-self. If people are interested who don't know about the IFS model and would like to send me a message in the chat, just give me your email address and I'll send you some information about it. I'm going to be leading a 6-session program this fall called the Self-Led Lawyer and Mediator, which they say you teach what you want to learn. So that's what I'm doing. I want to learn more deeply how the IFS model works for us lawyers and mediators. And that is very much part of the centering that Eileen, you're asking about, and I appreciate your question.
Wow, thank you. I love that. And I make a note of the IFS. This is maybe a big conversation, but what came to me, David, because I've looked at it too, and I think it's very fascinating and very helpful to so many people. But what I'm curious about, have you looked at that at all in connection with what's happening politically?
Yeah, if I could just make a brief comment. Dick Schwartz, who is the creator of the IFS model, has been spending a lot of time working with activists because his theory, and this is true for, I think, many folks in the IFS community, the idea that we have parts and we have self is a really useful concept so that we can be more effective, so that our parts can be more effective, our analytical parts, our activist parts. And so it's very much a model that has as its core, as part of its core intention, making the world a better place.
Nice. Okay, that's really rich. Thank you. Now let's see. I think Duncan, you're next. Rebecca,
you.
your hand's still up. Do you know that it is? Okay.
There's a way
No,
to.
I did not know that it was still up.
Okay.
Thank you.
Go
Let's
ahead.
see.
Go ahead, Duncan.
Yeah, I just wanted to share some questions that I wrestle with, particularly in conversations like this one. As most of you know, I went to law school and then decided that wasn't really my path and became a psychotherapist, which I've been for the last 2 or 3 decades. And so I deal a lot with the inner world, and in particular with our relationship with that inner world. And so there's a relationship between the inner and the outer, which we've mentioned. And then there's the relationship between my left hemisphere and my right hemisphere. And I'm remembering a phrase that I think came from David Hoffman, which is that after he went to law school, he said, you know, I think my left brain ate my right brain. And I think there's a very deep truth to that in terms of the way lawyers are trained, because they're not trained to be self-aware. They're trained to be analytical and to see the world in essentially a left-brained way. So part of the challenge, I think, is to integrate our right hemispheric way of being in the world. My most vexing question, I think, that I wrestle with is the relationship between spirituality and feeling good. Because I think particularly in the wellness movement within the practice of law, they use mindfulness as a way to feel better. And that I have a long background in Buddhism and Buddhist practice as well as contemplative Christianity. And mindfulness is not about feeling better. Mindfulness is becoming more self-aware. So if what your inner world is like is filled with tumult and suffering, then that's what we become aware of. And so I do think that there's often a kind of bias maybe in favor of looking for spiritual practice as a way to feel better. And that's not how I experience it.
Yeah, that's really powerful. Yeah, it's such an important distinction there. I think that a lot of times, those practices do lead to feeling better, but you got to go through you got to
Mhm.
walk through the fire first. Okay, Stuart.
Yes, thank you so much. I have been, I started collaborative law about 30 years ago. And what I found is that the practitioners working with the conflicted couple in family law needs to hold the highest love space they can while they're working with the couple. Now, what I found is that the highest love place is beyond duality. And so the message from Rumi from 800 years ago is an example of what a perfect collaborative case without talking. He says, out beyond the idea of rightfulness and wrongfulness, out beyond the duality, the right and wrong, here, out beyond that, there is a field. That field is love, the love feeling. I'll meet you there. When the soul, it says, when the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about ideas, language, and even the phrase each other doesn't make any sense. So mutual recognition is just a simple notice of this love feeling, not romantic feeling. It's a connected feeling. It's a connected. So when I'm into my love I've found, it's there for all of us. I can walk in the grocery store and the 2-year-old kids smile and wave to me. And the autism kids that do the packaging wave to me and come up and say hi, because they're recognizing that mutual recognition. And our lawyers stuff, the rightness and wrongness, we've always started with the duality instead of starting with the love.
Right.
So what he's saying, what Rumi is saying is, forget the ideas you're caught up in the duality of our bicameral brain, rightness and wrongness, right brain, left brain. The right brain has love in it. The left brain doesn't. But beyond it, he said, just go beyond that. Because we're about the only species that has the bicameral brain. The animals don't. They never got kicked out of the garden because they only have one brain. So we've had to deal with this bicameral, which caused us our war and peace and all that stuff.
Right.
So Rumi is just saying, go beyond it. I'll meet you in the love field. The
Thank you.
mutual recognition.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
I've shut up enough. It's all right.
Okay, Brad. You're on mute, Brad.
Oh, hi. Did I raise my hand or we're just going
Wait.
around?
No, I'm sorry, not Brad. My eyes aren't that great.
Rand. That's okay.
I'm
Rand.
sorry.
I'll cede to Rand.
Sorry to both of you. I misread it. Brand.
Thank you. I am very grateful to be part of this meeting, and almost everybody here has more experience and more understanding of what we're talking about than I do. I just want to offer the following qualification, maybe in the spirit of some of the other remarks. I was at a meeting yesterday, and the topic of the meeting was, can you think of an example of something good that's happened in the last week and something bad? And obviously, it revealed a lot about what people's criteria were for good and bad. And one thing that a lot of people felt very positive about, some of you may have seen this, there was a video that got a wide circulation, I think, on the internet of a Chinese graduate student speaking at the Harvard commencement about the connections that are formed. It very much the kind of thing that Stuart was talking about. The connections formed by all over the world by people coming to a school like Harvard and getting to know each other, and so it resulted in amazing cooperation where people from widely different countries were working together on all sorts of important problems. And indeed, the charming speaker said, maybe we'll be able to solve the problem of world poverty for the first time in history because of all this synergy and understanding and so forth. And it just sounded great. And I was reminded, or I thought, that there's powerful sense of connection can also take a very dark and destructive turn. And of course, fascism plays on that sense of connection, and people feel it and respond to it. And of course, the Trumpism and conservatism have been very effective at marketing a certain kind of connection. We may think it's false or illusory, but a lot of people apparently are persuaded by it. So I just think there's another angle here. the nature of the connection, and is very important to think about that and what's going on.
Wow, thank you for that, Rand. That was very interesting. I want to think about that for a minute. Good point. The nature of the connection. Okay, Rob.
I wanted to follow up and kind of second what Duncan was saying and maybe emphasize just working within the legal profession. As I teach a very particular kind of meditation called iRest, or integrative restoration, which is a westernized version of Yoga Nidra. And when I teach, and I did a thing I was on a panel for the Marin Bar at the last minute a couple months ago. I say that a lot of people say to me that, oh, I'm a bad meditator, or I can't do it. And they very much approach it from a well-being perspective and not a particularly spiritual perspective, but also expecting that somehow the act of meditating will make me feel better. And I certainly think so over the long term, but I analogize it to going to the gym for your mind in that it's work, and you're not, when you sit down and meditate, you're not supposed to just feel great during the meditation. You're working with what comes up and focusing on, and that's stuff that you don't want to think about a lot of times. And I do find lawyers a particularly unself-aware category in general. And I just wonder about how to, make in sharing our work to convey that, so that maybe people have a more realistic sense without making people think, oh God, I don't want to do that, if that's what it is. And that part of our work is just creating more understanding about why one incorporates this into their life.
Yeah, I think, just talking, I think people were sort of, everyone was encouraged to meditate or mindfulness, like the health community really pushed it as a healthful thing to do. And it was sort of like the lowest common denominator. Like they don't think they were, going into the depth at all about what it really is, or self-awareness, as you and Duncan has said. And it's interesting to me. It just sort of reminds me of mediation and how that was kind of dumbed down too, so that lawyers would accept it rather than really using it to have healing and bring people together. It was just, okay, here's a way to get your cases settled, and with, won't go on the whole thing, but we watched that, the potential of it, and then how, what we've got now. So it is an interesting point you make, Rob, about the lawyers sometimes, many of them being probably in some ways, because the left brain ate the right brain. Love that. Yeah, it's something like be the hardest for them in some ways to do this. But that doesn't mean they can't, of course, but yeah, good point. Mamta.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to, just to thank Stuart for your wonderful eldership and for bringing us back to field beyond right and wrong, because really feel, in
Mamta, you're
my life.
breaking up a little bit. You're breaking up a little bit. It's a little hard to hear you, but sometimes you're clear. So I'm not sure what's changing.
I'm not sure.
Maybe turning off your video would help, given that you're overseas.
Yeah, maybe.
Should I turn off my video? Okay.
Try it.
All right. Is that clearer?
Much better. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So, so thanking Stuart, for his eldership and for bringing it back to that field beyond right and wrong. And, what has always been evident for me is the connection between law and politics is both adversarial. And I feel this is the fundamental dark web, as it were, this adversarial mindset. Lawyers are trained to be adversarial. And there have been lots of studies about why lawyers tend to be the most depressed group, because it has this Tetris effect that you're always trying to find, trying to win an argument or trying to, that kind of thing. And so, coming to the topic of mediation, which I was attracted to join the call because I thought it was going to be a little bit more focused on mediation spirituality. So in the work that I do, I departed from all that, followed my guidance, and I propose a shift in our legal system which integrates human and economic rights within the rights of nature. And I've been promoting this around the world. And as part of this integrated rights framework that I came up with, is also the idea that the rights are not adversarial, they're collaborative, because there is, it's a nested hierarchy of rights. There are no people without nature and no economy without people. And on this quest of a lot of lawyers will say, well, what do you mean collaborative? How can rights be synergistic? I mean, it's my right against your right. So that's coming back to this sort of adversarial mindset. And how would we resolve disputes? And I'm also a systemic constellation facilitator. And so I trained in mediation, thinking that this would be a way of bridging, for from the adversarial to the non-adversarial in a way that is practical, that lawyers can understand. But I also found that it's so logic-based and process-orientated that there isn't any room. I mean, yes, of course, you can always sit there and you can hold that field of love. And I believe that magic can happen just because of holding the vibration. But I started to look at bringing in systemic constellation as a stage one before entering into mediation, because it comes from it offers solutions completely outside of the logical mind and shifts the energy in a much deeper way. Yeah, and I guess where I'm going with this is with law, those of us who are more connected need to have the courage to step out of the mold and to bring in, innovative ways, mixing it up and bring it back to that field beyond right and wrong. Yeah, because law it's about relationships, about the relationships that we have with all life.
Thank you, Mamta. We just have a couple of minutes here, and the question that I want to ask you is, is there an interest in continuing this conversation? And, I think, there are a lot of takeaways here, but one of them is, how do you lead with love? If you have adversarial parties, how do you help them get to the place beyond right and wrong? I imagine many of you would share this belief that if you go to the field beyond right and wrong, and the other person does too, you will find an answer you will find the solution. There will be a solution in the flow of life, and everybody's needs will be met. And that we don't see that happening because I think by and large, a lot of people don't really trust that. but that is the greater possibility, but how do we access it? So, you know, I mean, I find that very interesting, and I think it will take, you know, it will take courage to lead in that direction. And one of the possibilities of a community like this is to help each other have that courage to share what's working, what's not working, which some of you have done today. You have, you know, Rebecca shared she has some things that work, David, with the IFS that I think really can help all of us step out into this realm. Yes, Stuart?
Yes, it's like what happens when you're working with the conflicted couple. When you're holding love, there's a transmission. And they start getting this feeling of love because we are not reacting negatively to what they're saying. So over a period of a couple of times meeting, they start raising up and kind of seeing the love that they had with each other before. It's quite magical. The power of love.
Right.
Like
So-
Gandhi said, when the power of love overcomes the love of power, there will be peace.
Exactly. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Love you.
Beautiful.
Yeah, let's do this again. It's a great conversation.
Thank you so much to everybody for participating in this.
Thank you for everything you did. Thank you.
Is Nanette still with us?
No, Nanette had to leave for a 2 o'clock meeting. She could not move.
Okay.
But, is there another comment, David? You raised your
Yes,
hand?
I just noticed that Jilly Jones joined us, and I wonder if Jilly wants to contribute to the conversation.
Thank you.
Hi there. Yeah, I'm really sorry I joined really late. I'm in the UK and you know, I haven't long got in from work. So I'm sorry I couldn't join you earlier. So I really regret that I wasn't here before. I don't know if I'll be able to listen to a recording of what you've been discussing. I would like to.
Yes, there will be a recording circulated to the email list. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. It's my first time at a PISLAP meeting, and you know, I was drawn to it following one of the spiritual law and practice meetings and some of the videos that were shared there. And I'm a law tutor in a university here in the UK, and I also teach some business leadership. But what made a very big difference for me, and of course it's very difficult to measure because we're going out of the box here and out of empirical evidence and so forth. But what made a big difference for me was my own meditation, which I've been practicing for 20 years. And I don't always see it myself, but some people have noticed that I kind of have an impact on other people, you know, sort of dispelling the negativity, and people just automatically start talking about truth where they may not have done. And I do believe that there's you know, something energetic going on, that if you're open-hearted and drop those the mind defenses, so to speak, and all that logical thinking, that, you know, it's almost like being a role model, but you have to do it and it gently filters out somehow to other people. So although it I'd really love to research it properly, you know, in a context of, you know, legal practice or even client groups or students. I'd really like to do that. But there is something going on with that. I really should do a literature review so that I could actually present a literature review of the impact in other fields and other areas, and then bring it here.
Oh, love, Gilly.
Yeah, that would, well, if I have somebody to bring it to and to share it with, who's interested in these concepts, that would motivate me too. actually complete, a literature review on what's there already.
Beautiful. I wonder if there's literature on it, but I think what you and Stuart are both alluding to is the energy, the impact of the energy. Yeah.
Well,
Powerful.
I think we have to wind up the call. It's 2:15 on the East Coast of the United States. We've been going for a while. There have been a lot of chats about wanting to continue, Eileen. And if you're willing, I think it would make sense if you're willing to share your email address, if people direct specific suggestions to you, and then you can speak to Nanette about the possibility of setting up another call. How does that?
Yeah. I'm putting my email in the chat.
Okay, excellent.
E. Barker at the Path of Forgiveness. And hold on one second. It won't, it's not sending. Oh, wait. I'm doing something. So I'm going to do that. Yeah. And I would welcome, hearing from you.
Terrific.
And then I'd be happy to put something together, including, if there's some people who are particularly interested in staying with this thread and working together for a time where we meet and we really dive into this. I just think that would be very, very meaningful. So let me know your thoughts and we'll go from there. Thanks to Annette and Anne and Perry and Duncan, the sort of team behind putting this together. Appreciate it very much.
Indeed, I appreciate it as well, and thank everyone for joining. And message from our sponsor, consider joining PISLAP, okay? spiritlawpolitics.org. Thank you all and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Love y'all. Over and out.
Over and out.
Really good to meet you.
Good to meet you too. Good.